All right, peace family. We are back with another one. Welcome to Earth Goddess TV. For newcomers, welcome to Earth Goddess TV. On this channel, we talk about basic astrology and spirituality. And if you are already a part of the Earth Goddess gang, you already know what time it is. Grab your drink, grab your snack, whatever snack of choice, while we jump into this astrological knowledge. Today, family, I wanted to jump into stelliums because I noticed that I hadn't made a video on stelliums. So we're going to do that today. But not only are we going to talk about the stelliums, but basically stelliums in each house. So if you don't know what a stellium is, basically a stellium is when basically you have three or more planets sharing the same house, in the house sharing the same zodiac sign. So depending on the planets that are in the house, the stelliums can experience either ease or harmony or frustration and tension. So an example of this would look like, say, a Sun, Venus, and Jupiter placement. These are pretty positive planets to have in a stellium. So you may experience a lot of ease and harmony with these particular planets. Say versus a Moon, Mars, and Saturn. These are more a little bit heavier energies. So you may experience a little bit of frustration or a little bit of resistance, depending on the planets that are in your stellium. So the house your stellium is also, this house that your stellium in is also important because it signifies the area in life where you need to pay the most attention. Whether you need to pay attention for, positive reasons or negative reasons. Either way, the house will signify the changes and growth and evolution that are necessary for this particular house. So you definitely want to pay attention. So if you have a stellium in the first house, our first house is basically our physical self, our ego, our personality. So if you have a stellium here in the first house, you're meant to focus on your independence, your self-autonomy, putting yourself first. Based on the planets in this house, those are the energies that you can work with on an outward level to evolve the stellium within this first house. Let's jump into our second house. Our second house stellium, this is the house of our money, our resources, our self-worth. In this lifetime, there is a focus here on the relationship with yourself, your resources, the things that you find valuable, your personal energy, basically your personal currency, what you do to earn money. Most of your decisions, if you have a stellium in the second house, would be basically kind of gear around how you make your money. So it's very important, if you do have the second house stellium, that whatever planets you have here, that you're using those planets to the best of your abilities to bring out the gems and the gold that's in this stellium, and to work whatever planets are within this house. So also too, the sign here would be a definite indicator of how you will pull out the energy of those planets that are also residing in that second house. Let's jump into the third house stellium. So our third house is our communication, our short distance travel, our siblings, our mental abilities as well. So when your focus here, if you have the stellium in the third house, you're most of the time always on the go, especially when it comes to like just maybe traveling within the quarters locally, say maybe across town, maybe to a neighbor's house, just within close quarters. You're always on the go. You can have close relationships with your siblings or the people that you grow up with, or say the people within your neighborhood or anything of that nature. Now, how you connect with the siblings in this house is important, and being able to express what you learn is important here for personal growth. So the whole pull here with the stellium in the third house is communication and expression, but not just communication and expression, but how you express yourself with the things within your immediate environment. So there is a pull and a focus here if you have the stellium in the third house. So our stellium in our fourth house. Our fourth house is basically our heritage, our home, our ancestry, our roots, our family. So we have the stellium here. Family is very important. Also, the stellium here also dictates, a lot of the decisions that you would probably make in life, because a lot of the time when you have the stellium here, um, you will be more inclined to make decisions based on, maybe the upbringing of your family, like their beliefs and their thinking and their ideology towards things. The planets here can also definitely be an indicator of the types of relationships that you have with the family, or it can represent the relationships that you would create if you don't have a want to finish the relationship with your family, or you don't have the best relationships. It can also represent the relationships. Sorry, or it represents the family that you will create. So, still in the fourth house, your pull and theme here is mostly family relationships, ancestry. Whether you need to start all this on your own and create your own ancestry and family, or the theme here is to pay attention to your ancestry, your heritage, or your roots here. So Stellium's in the fifth house. Our fifth house is our creative house, our romance, our pleasure, our creativity, our fun house, our house of kids. So if you have a stellium here, you will prioritize basically this area in your life. So you maybe gravitate towards being like in the entertainment industry, or being entertained if you don't want to be the entertainer yourself. You may find yourself with a variety of passionate flings, maybe a lot of kids here, um, or you just may have a lot of creative, passionate pursuits that you may have in life if you don't have a lot of passionate flings, or you may not have a lot of kids here, or you may have a very close relationship with your kids. A lot of the time when I see people with stelliums in the fifth house, they have really great relationships with their kids. Their kids are kind of like their personal muses. So the planets will also depend on, the type of relationships that you have with your kids, or, the relationship you'll have with maybe creative pursuits, or your romantic, passionate relationships. Let's jump into our sixth house stellium. So our sixth house is represent basically our service to humanity, our healthy habits, our daily routines basically. So basically with the stellium here, you crave routine and structure. You aim to be of service to humanity through your natural talents and abilities. The planets here will determine, the energies that you can pull from to further help you out, so you can experience that ease and harmony here. Let's jump into the seventh house. Our seventh house stellium, of course, is all about our relationships, our personal relationships, whether that's with our business partners, or our intimate relationships. Basically, with the stellium here, the theme here is relationships. What you want to do here, if you do have a stellium in the seventh house, is to create boundaries between yourself and others to keep things healthy. That's the whole thing here, is to focus on relationships, but not just relationships, but healthy relationships. Your planets here will also determine the type of relationships you may bring to yourself, whether they have a lot of ease or frustration. But just make sure, if you have the seventh house stellium here, that you pay attention to the relationships and make sure there's harmony in those relationships. No, whether it's on a romantic level or on a business level, just make sure there's balance and harmony. Stellium in the eighth house. Eighth house is basically our darker house, the house that no one really likes to deal with aside from the 12th house. Basically, this is our shared resources, our boundaries, our taxes, our affairs of others. The theme here is to find what's your responsibility and what is not your responsibility, because you're dealing with, again, the house of shared possessions, affairs of others, boundaries, taxes, all that heavy stuff. So depending on the planets, this can definitely ring true here. The experiences that can be either positive or negative. So you definitely, if you have an eighth house stellium, you definitely want to pay attention to all the planets that are here, as well as the sign that it's in, because this is going to be a big indicator whether you're going to have a lot of ease or frustration within this house. So eighth house stelliums, just make sure that you practice setting those proper boundaries, when it comes to deciding what you should focus on and what you should not focus on, especially when it's dealing with, affairs of other people, the taboo subjects as well, shared possessions or anything of that nature. Stellium's in the ninth house. Ninth house could focus here on expanding the mind, higher learning, education, traveling abroad, teaching, also learning as well. The stellium here, there will be a main focus on basically your views of the world, and not just your views of the world, but how you also relate to um, these views and how you express these views. A lot of the time when I see the stellium here in the ninth house, a lot of these people are really become like philosophers or some teacher in the sort of like higher learning and education, especially with the stellium here in the ninth house of education and higher learning. Um, when we have a stellium in the 10th house, our 10th house is basically our public career, our image, basically our main focus when it comes to our outer self, our external self. So with the 10th house stellium, you're more likely to become well known because you have a lot of energy here, and the theme here in this lifetime is basically to embrace the limelight, um, to be known in whatever career or profession that you choose. Now, the planets here can indicate the type of profession that you may gravitate towards, whether you will experience maybe ease or frustration within that profession. Stellium within our 11th house is basically our house of, let's say, the organizations, groups, society, friend circle, basically things dealing with the public. So in this lifetime, you'll be more likely to be surrounded by the collective. You will have a gift of bringing people together, just based, and also, I'm sorry, the gift of bringing people together. And based on the planets here, we will describe the type of relationships that you will have with these outside influences. So again, the planets here can basically describe the ease of frustration that you will have within this house, pulling from the energy of these planets. So make sure you pay attention to the planets here as well, and the sign. And our final house, which is our stellium in the 12th. And the 12th is basically our subconscious house, basically the self-undoing, the blind spots, spirituality, the heavier house, basically our house of our subconscious mind. So when you have the stellium here, the main focus is introspection, isolation. Mental health is the main focus here. You may find that being alone is required for your personal strength and growth. So if you have a lot of energy here within the 12th house, you're going to spend a lot of this time or make a lot of your decisions around basically going within, figuring out, the answers to those questions that you've always had. A lot of the time when people have the 12th house stellium, they can be great counselors, healers, teachers, because they have so much energy here. And basically the planets here was definitely an indicator of, the, say, the ease of frustration